Well, welcome back. This is the Your Little Castle Show, show 2 here. Shane Haddox. Some people say that as if it's IX, but it's OX. So make sure and take note of that, everybody there, and you can see how he spells it. But Shane is the owner and founder of Infinity Restorations. You've been doing this with your own business since 2002.
Correct.
As we mentioned before. So a long history, making a little impact here on our corner of the world. And so we want to get into some of the excitement with regard to this. So I'm a technology guy. We'll talk a little bit about that. But the first question I want to ask you is, and how often is this the case? What is the one biggest mistake that people make? They're about to go through a 30, 40, 50,000. They spend more getting their house fixed than they would on a car.
Correct.
What's the mistake they make?
Not having a qualified contractor like Infinity there from the get-go to meet with the adjuster from the initial inspection. That way we can talk with the adjuster and try and get everything addressed on the first initial inspection. Oftentimes, if we're not there, either A, you can be denied, or B, they do claim some stuff, but it's not actually the amount of damage that was really present on the home.
Okay, so now you're talking about they're essentially it's not a good claim. How often do people? I mean, a lot of people they're a little bit hesitant to make a claim because they're like, oh, it's going to make my insurance go up. But you're helping to make all those problems go away because you've dealt with insurance companies a few times. Right?
Correct. Well, your insurance is going to go up anyway because you're in the zip code that got hit.
Okay.
So you might as well take advantage of what has been offered to you and go ahead and get your repairs done. And the reason why the insurance company covers these things is because of your roof may not be leaking this week, this month, or this year, but eventually it will because of the hail hits. And that's the only reason why the insurance company covers it, because they don't want to have an interior water issue down the road.
Okay.
Otherwise, they wouldn't claim to get you a new roof. They don't just like handing out new roofs. It's something you really need and you really should do.
So another important note you made there, they're going to raise the rates, and they don't do that by house. They do that by zip code. So they're going to get you anyway, everybody. So make sure that you take it, because, and I had an instance like this happen with somebody I know, and the whole neighborhood got hit, and there's a big storm came through, and most everybody got a roof replaced, and this particular family waited, and he came back 2 years later and said, hey, let's take a look here. A friend of mine who's a roofing guy looked at it, he's like, there's definitely some damage here, but now we got to fight with everybody's favorite insurance company, who I won't say who that is. And they said, declined. I was like, wait a minute, everybody around us did. A couple things against them. One, that insurance company's known for being difficult to get claims, I think, but also you might be able to know who I'm talking about.
I do.
And then the other thing was they waited a couple of years or a year and a half. What are the issues there?
Well, because you have a certain time from time of discovery. So in different states, it's different amounts. And then the time of discovery can mean different things too. So if that was my company handling it, we would have said time of discovery is when we got up there and let you know that it happened. But if it was a big storm like we've got going on now this year, and you wait 2 years, they're going to be like, you knew your house got hit. You should have called us then.
So don't wait for this, because they'll be like, that thing came and went. You didn't. Was there a limit? Is it 1 year, you said? Or how long is that before?
In the state of Missouri, I believe it's 1 year from time of discovery.
Okay. So don't wait too long, everybody, to get these things fixed. Get somebody out there to take care of this right away. Infinity Restorations, for all your roofing and restoration needs. InfinityRestorations.com. And you want to talk to an expert, because the experts are the ones that can take care of this. And Shane is somebody who's been doing this for 30 years in the industry, 20 years plus running his own company. So that's important. All right, well, I'm a techie nerd. I like to talk about how technology has affected and changed things. And you talked about it in the first show. If you missed that first show, everybody, check it out. Great information there. Shane goes over some of the important things you must know, so whenever you've got some kind of damage that has happened, or sometimes you need a repair, and what all that goes into that. But we talked a little bit about this, and tell me if I got two hot topics. One is Xactimate. Was that the software?
Xactimate, yes.
You want to make sure you're coinciding correctly coordinated with the insurance company. So you're using what the insurance companies use.
Correct.
From a technology perspective. You're entering the software, synchronizes, says, hey, all these are the repairs, these are the costs. And the other one, you talked about drones, but not just a regular drone, a drone that has technology built into it, integrated, so it can identify where the damage is at. Those are two big technology things. You want to expound upon those? Anything else you want to talk about?
Yes, sir. So Xactimate is an estimating program that is used by the insurance companies as well. That way, we're both playing on the same field. If they say it's 27 square and they use their estimating program and we say it's 27 square and we use a different estimating program, of course you're going to come up with different numbers. So we pay to use the same one that they use, and 90% of the insurance companies plus use Xactimate. A couple of them use a couple off brands, but the majority of the insurance company use Xactimate. And then also, like you said, we do have the drone that flies in a grid pattern over your house. It can be manually flown, or we can put in GPS coordinates, your address. We put in like any high trees that are around or power lines or whatever, and the drone actually flies itself and will do high patterns of the roof and take pictures, and then it'll come down and get real close and take almost like what a square for what an insurance company looks at. It's 100 square feet, generally 10 foot by 10 foot. So they'll fly in a grid pattern across your roof surface and digitally marking every place that has a hail hit.
Wow, there you go. I hadn't heard that one either. I know that drones have become kind of the rave, and it's a lot easier to get up there. They can be very exact. You want to be up there, and you get on the roof, I would assume,
Of
also.
course, yes.
Make sure, and just because the little things you can't detect or you got to get close to. But how much easier is and I like the systematized, it's taken section by section and can nail this whole thing down and kind of draw a map for everybody to look at. So here's where the damage that happened. Is that right?
Correct, yes. After we get done droning, go back to the office, and it usually takes a couple hours per report to kick out, but it's very detailed. Gives the exact coordinates of where the house was. Like I said, several pictures on several angles, close up, far away. It's a very detailed report.
Okay. I'm looking at my notes here, and that seems like there's a lot that goes into this, and you want to make sure you've got it done the right way. Technology impacting this all the time. Tell me a time when you feel though you really helped somebody. They were in a tough situation, and you can see that they had just kind of been hung out to dry, but you stepped up and took care of them. I can imagine there's probably many times you've dealt with similar situations, given you've done this for so long, 20 plus years with your own business and 30 years in the industry. Can you give me a couple examples of times you really saw a situation you need to help somebody?
Yeah, there's been more times than one where a homeowner has either been denied or they were approved, but the amount of what the insurance company wrote in the scope of work was minimal. And again, they're wondering why everybody else is being taken care of on the street in the subdivision, but they're not. And they get a hold of us, and we step in and turn the claim around for them and have them treated just like everybody else on their street, like they should have been in the first place.
Okay.
That happens quite often.
Does it happen? I can only imagine it because there's, again, we talk about love the insurance companies. They do their job. I'm good friends with my insurance agent. You're in good hands, right?
Right.
But how often is it, I mean, when they have a big claim like this, you can only imagine they're like, okay, here's our budget kind of thing. It's almost like that's what it seemed like. We came in after the budget had already been spent, and they said, Nat, you're declined. What the heck? If you don't have somebody who knows what they're doing going in there to argue your case, how are you going to know you're going to get what you deserve, right?
Yeah, exactly. And oftentimes you're left just holding the bag, wondering what you should do. Why didn't my claim get covered? So we really enjoy coming in and helping people out. And, a lot of times it's more often than not, it seems like, where it's, somebody that is less fortunate, or a single mom or single grandmother. We've done several of those where they were just like, we don't understand why, and then we end up helping them out and turn it around and get things done for them.
Important. All right, that's what we talk about. That's what we put the hat on, everybody, because if you're doing things to help the community, somebody who tries to espouse as much as we can to help the little guy, the people who've been
Right.
left out. I was always a little bit smaller than some of the other guys, not as fast or whatever it might be, but I worked hard and made it dedicated. And I want to give a shout out to all this, especially somebody who's been through similar, everybody goes through difficult things in life. Everybody knows about the coma I went through, and I was fortunate to overcome. So fight back and get that. But you get the guys next to you that can help you to get through these things. Get yourself an expert. Infinity here, obviously, does a great job. Get hold of Shane. So, all right, well, there's a process to get started. What is the process? Is it as easy as just making a phone call? Go to the website, look up the phone number. I saw where you have a booking option there. What is the easiest way for somebody to get started with you? Or a couple options people have.
Going to the website or simply calling or texting the 799 number.
Okay.
And we actually like to come out and inspect your property before you actually call in to make a claim,
Right.
so that we can let you know, yes, you definitely need to call in, or you know what, don't waste the phone call, don't waste making a claim. Your roof and your house are okay at this particular juncture. We don't want to waste anybody's time. We don't want anybody to have egg on their face, including the homeowner or us, saying that this should be a claim and it really shouldn't. So,
Well, is it true that like as soon as you make that claim, they've documented the fact that you call in, and every time you're calling in, they're making a little mark on your account, and you don't. They say this guy keeps calling in, and it's all not good or whatever. Or sometimes it's just better to get the expert out there beforehand and you'll help them go through that claim process too.
exactly. We even offer to help you, like if after we examine your whole property and we feel like you have a justifiable claim, if you like, we'll even sit down in the living room with you and help you file it online or call in, whatever you're comfortable with, if you so choose that option. And then it's very important you let us know when the adjuster's coming out, because we want to be there when the adjuster's there.
Yeah.
Several reasons. One, we want to make sure he doesn't miss anything. It's not just your roof. It's your gutters, it's your siding, it's your garage door. Your garage door could have hits in it. It could be your mailbox. I've had mailboxes be replaced because they have dimples in them. Barbecue pits I've had replaced because they got beat up. Landscape lights, or even like a clay pot. You may not think it's not that big of a deal, but some of those larger clay pots can be $50-$70, and you paid for it at one time. It's yours to get replaced.
Yeah, it's a nice dinner that would have been out of your pocket there.
So we try and make sure that everything on your property is covered, not just your home.
Well, it sounds like you guys really have this covered, and that's important. A lot of people don't realize, get an expert there with you, because this is not something you would want to take on your own. They have their experts there. They have their people that know what they're doing.
Exactly.
They're looking out. You know who they represent, and they got to do what's right. But it's better just to have another set of eyes on there from somebody who really does know what they're talking about.
Yes, sir.
Tell me what. And somebody's been in business as long as you have. Tell me about a challenge that you've dealt with, whether that was with running the business or big changes you had to make in the path of your business, or times you helped a client who had a challenge and you said, "Oh wow, they were kind of stuck and we had to step in." Do you have a particular recollection of something that you've done that really helped you overcome and build your business stronger?
I guess one of the biggest challenges I overcome was I had a business partner in the past, and for years I was like, how do I get to that next level? And the years that we worked together, he taught me a lot, and how to really expand and broaden my business, make it more tech savvy. So I'd say that would be one of the biggest challenges I overcame, learning how to get to that next level. Yeah,
and how often do we start off on a path, we want to have our own company. I had started my own company years ago and then got hit with a huge account that just decided one day they were going to do it themselves. And I was like, that wasn't exactly what I thought we agreed on. But hey, you got to either decide to fold your tent or carry through. And
right.
Boy, we all have to deal with stuff. And if it was easy, everybody'd be doing it, kind of thing.
Correct.
And that gives me the opportunity. I'd like to ask people, do you have a favorite quote, something that helps you to realize, this is what gets me through this kind of a quote that is memorable to you?
Yes. The magic you are looking for is in the work you are avoiding.
Okay. So explain that for me a little bit. But there's people that they just don't want to dive in, and they go, and they would have just taken on something.
Again, like I said, what we do is we help you with everything. We just don't do the easy and leave you. We're there to take care of you like you were our mom or our grandmother or our aunt. We want you to have the best experience you can possibly have. So if you're going to do it right from beginning to end. One of my instructors told me once, and I still remember this, and I was in my 20s, he said, if you don't have time to do it right the first time, how are you going to have time to do it right the second?
True. And that, it's not your expertise. I mean, how could you know how to do anything right? How often do we do something, we're like, okay, that was hard, and then you mess it up, and then you got to redo it.
Right.
Nobody likes to go through the process like that. That's more difficult, more work. That makes it more expensive too, obviously. So tell me, what's a major objection a lot of people have, and they're in the middle of this and they're going, I really don't want to make a claim, or they're worried about the cost. What's the biggest objection people hit you with that you have to help explain?
Like you said, I don't want to make a claim. They're afraid their insurance is going to go up, and like we discussed earlier, it goes up by zip code. Having a kitchen fire is something different than having a hailstorm. Kitchen fire most likely was your fault. Right. Hailstorm's not. So it's also looked at differently by the insurance company too. And like I said earlier, they're paying to replace these things because, especially the roof, eventually it will leak. It may not be right now, but eventually your roof will leak if you don't get it repaired or replaced.
And so, that goes back under the category of address the issue now, because if you put this thing off, the problem shows up 3 years later. They're like, too late.
And then
or is it worse, even another storm comes through and they're like, that wasn't from this storm, that was in the previous storm.
Right.
And now you're fighting with the insurance company about
and then they're now trying to leave you holding the bag, saying it's your fault, you didn't take appropriate actions on the situation.
So be a responsible homeowner, everybody, and get the experts to take a look at this stuff. I can't imagine. I mean, people may want to take these things on themselves, and there's just too much at stake. I mean, the house is the most valuable asset most people own, and so it's something that ideally will appreciate. And my house has gone up in value almost every year for 24 years now, or whatever.
Right.
And you want it to continue to improve in value. How often do they have something go through like this, and they should have had this claim made, and then they come back later and they find mold and deteriorated roofing, and roof vents are clogged? I mean, how often does this become a much larger issue, and because they didn't address it, now the insurance is not even going to cover it for them?
That happens quite often to people. One instance, I had a buddy of mine's mom filed a claim and then decided not to do any of the work, and this was years ago. And once you file a claim, you have, depending on your insurance company, a certain amount of time to get the work completed. And they waited the 1 year and 1 month to the day, and then knew that she hadn't done anything, and now said she had, I think they gave her 60 or 90 days to get the repairs done, and now she was no longer eligible for her depreciation check either, which is the second half of your payment from the insurance company once you get the repairs done. So not only did she have to come up with the money she probably already spent from the first check, she wasn't getting a second check, and she only had a certain amount of time where they were dropping her.
Okay, so
it's very important that you do make a claim, make sure you go through with it.
Well, I didn't realize you're going to lose a second check. That is the second half, right?
Yes.
And on a $25,000 claim, you're talking about $12,500 that they just
depending on how much they depreciate it. Here's what they do: they come out and look at, let's say, your home, and let's say, for round numbers, your home is 10 years old, okay, and you have a 30-year shingle on there, and your roof is damaged, your gutters are damaged, and maybe you have a little bit of siding damage. They're going to look at your roof, and it's 10 years old, so they're going to depreciate it by 33%. So we're just going to talk about the roof so we can use easy numbers here. So once we get done doing the repair, your first check is only going to be 66% minus your deductible. Once we do the roof, they're going to send the other 33% so you can finish paying for the repairs to be done. They do that to more entice you to get your work done, instead of going, okay, your claim's 50 grand, here's 50 grand, because they know how people are. They'll be like, oh, time for vacation, big screen TV.
Right.
We always wanted that pool in the backyard, right? So there's a method to their madness. and you can't get that depreciation check without proving that you had the work done with invoices and receipts for repairs.
Okay. Well, I can imagine then, based on all of what you have to deal with, what do you really feel like gives you the most satisfaction at the end of the day when you've gone through the project here? How many clients have you worked on their house? Thousands by now?
Yes, thousands.
What gives you the satisfaction to keep doing this?
I would say the biggest one is where it's an older home and they really did need some updates, and we were able to come in and get those updates done for little or no cost out of their pocket, especially like the storm that happened in Wentzville, where we're talking siding, gutters, shutters are being destroyed. Those make some really nice before and after pictures. Very nice.
I can imagine. So, yeah, in St. Louis, we've got homes that are up over 100, 150 years old, I would imagine.
Yeah.
I know my parents have a house in the middle of Missouri, which is further west, and they've the wallpaper, when they peeled it off and they saw first wallpapered and they'd torn it off in 1846 or something like that.
Wow.
So this house is old Victorian home. But as houses get older, you can't imagine, you have to ultimately replace some of this stuff, right? Your fascia, your soffits, your windows. I mean, you can imagine, I've seen some of the windows. Mom, love you, but the house needs a couple new windows. And how else are those going to get taken up? But if there's been a storm that's come through that can be attributed to that damage recently enough, obviously. But again, get that expert out there. You guys can come out there and say, hey, insurance company, doesn't matter how old the house is. It doesn't have anything to do with the repairs they're going to have. I mean, they're going to still have to do what's right. And maybe there's some depreciation, but they're still going to have to replace those and help cut the cost for people that have had damage to something that they own, right?
Yeah, the older the house or the components on the house, the smaller your first check is going to be.
Okay.
Because they'll take the life expectancy of the particular component and say, okay, it's this many years old, so your first check could very well say you had a $30,000 claim, your first check could only be $6,000 because the items on your home are older and getting closer to the end of their life expectancy. But once we do all the repairs, that's when you get that other large check to finish paying for it to bring everything back to pre-storm condition.
Yeah, and you want to get things back pre-storm condition, like it was undamaged, virtually not new, but I mean like new. I mean, when you're getting new siding, new roofing, that is new. You might be upgrading what you've got there, and now you've got a house. You want to keep that value of the house, like we talked about. I've got a couple houses I might inherit at some point in my life, and we've got to keep these things in good shape, or else ultimately the appraiser comes in and goes, this whole roof has got to be done, and because the roof didn't get, the attic is messed up, and the attic, then the walls have mold, and boy, just get the thing done right the first time and not mess around with it. That's why you pay for insurance, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and it also helps change the whole, what's the word I'm looking for? Your curb appeal from your house.
Okay, all right.
Brings everything fresh and new and nice.
That's what we like to see, especially when I'm in the housing industry a little bit. You have my mortgage license. A lot of people know that. And you've got to send that guy out for the appraisal. And they come back and go, well, did you realize you didn't know? And they're like, oh, that was that one storm. And my brother-in-law who was going to fix it didn't get it done. And now there's a $17,000 deduction. They're going to go, oh, yeah, we'll take that off of the loan or the cost of the house. And so somebody says, we'll just eat that cost. Right. And that's a lot of money, $17,000, whatever the amount might be.
Yeah, and oftentimes these home buyers are finding hard to get their house insured because the old owner didn't take care of the damage. They didn't have a proper inspection of the roof before they purchased and bought it. We do that for several realtors. We'll do a roof inspection for them, let them know what we think of it, the life expectancy we feel like it has, or if it does have significant granule loss just from age, or does it have hail damage, or does it have wind damage? Because if you buy that house and then for some reason they send an inspector out from your insurance company and say, we're not covering this, and this until you get it repaired, now you're stuck holding the bag paying for those expensive repairs.
Okay, things to make sure you take care of, because especially if you're selling a house, right, or you end up absorbing a lot of the costs that go in that. A friend recently sold a house and they deducted the deck needed work, the roof needed work, the siding had some stuff in, and carpet, and then you get in everything, and so you end up selling for a lot less. Right. Carpet may not be covered by a rainstorm, depending on how bad the rain. Like tore off the roof and rained on the carpet. But yeah, those exterior things you definitely just want to make sure you take care of. Well, tell me then, how do you feel you best contribute to the community? If you'd say there's one thing that we really do that helps our little community here, what would you say that is?
Helping homeowners who otherwise wouldn't have the knowledge that we have to update their home and get at that new look on the outside and that curb appeal. Unfortunately, they have to go through this. I mean, it's not fun. Nobody likes having construction on their house. But by the time we get done with everything and you step back and you look at the before and after, before Infinity got there and after we left, it's a huge difference. And so helping those homeowners that otherwise wouldn't have the knowledge that we have to get the things done that they needed done anyway.
Yeah, I can only imagine there's things that just go wrong that they should have been paid attention to and they didn't get paid attention to. So now you're paying. I was fortunate that connection with my garage guy, and he came in and said, Carter, you had the old construction grade tin aluminum garage. We're going to upgrade to the insulated garage for the cost of, well, we had enough money allocated in the budget from the insurance company. But if I had somebody looking out for me for that kind of thing, that's a big upgrade for a garage, isn't it?
Yeah.
Between those two things.
Yeah, garage doors aren't cheap either.
That's true.
So, and oftentimes, like I said, a lot of companies don't have the knowledge that we have to check everything. Like you said, luckily your guy did notice that the garage door was damaged. There's a lot of homeowners that don't even know their garage door is damaged or their siding's damaged, their fascia wrap's damaged. Again, insurance companies there to also create good dividends and make money. So they might not see everything on the first go around, and you don't know to point it out to them.
Yeah, if you don't have an expert there to deal with that. And that falls back to another thing I wanted to talk about again here. And this is I got to shout this out. It says it right there on your Facebook page. I was looking for that. Class A contractor. What's the difference between, we only have a minute left here, but Class A, B, C, D, but you've got the Class A, and what would you estimate? How many contractors that are based out of Missouri don't have that particular Class A contractor license? Or
I would say very few have it because it's not required.
Right.
And Class A is the highest you can get, which means I can pull permits in several states for several things, whether it's residential or commercial. And they go down from there for like Class D, just roofing. There's several different levels of license. And again, Missouri doesn't require it. We just have it for a feather in our cap. That way, one, we know what we're doing. And two, it helps when talking with the insurance company. They realize we're not just chucking a truck. We are the real thing, bona fide, and know what we're talking about.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Shane Haddox, Infinity Restorations. They know what they're doing. Get the experts to take care of you because it can be a costly and expensive and something that you don't want to take that kind of depreciation on your house if you're trying to sell it. Stay tuned for more, everybody. Giddy up.